I looked at the draft bill. They are a little shy about taxing, tithing. Yeah, but anything the church tries to do will be subject to taxation. The church that prayed this administration into office is now shaking under the weight of the administration's misrule. Well, I want to announce here that because I hear members of Wiper Patriotic Front, and allow me to say this in church, we will and we object to regulation of the church. The freedom of worship, Remember, some of these friends were opposed to this constitution, but we went ahead and got Constitution 2010, which now guarantees the freedom of worship. So you cannot attempt to limit that freedom. And you know, there are all kinds of denominations in this country. There's one group where I used to be a member of parliament for Mwingi North, Kitui North, called the Kabonokia group. They never would take out their voters card, and they will never therefore go to vote, but they will come and pray for us. God speaks to his people differently. Now you cannot force them to do that which in their conscience is not right, provided they are not a cult. This is not. I remember one time in the country of this Caribbean country, where there's somebody called Johnson who got people to take, I think it's Guyana, wakakuna wakagree wote wakule sumu wakufe wakakufa. That was a cult. So anything, and I can tell you from my law office at Church House, a few of you may know, I actually registered Crisco, and I remember I had to ask the late Apostle Das and the people who came with him, because they were originally from Guyana. I said, could it be that you want to come start work here in Kenya and get Kenyans to commit suicide massives? Of course not. And the Crisco ministry has grown in leaps and bounds. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Archbishop Arthur Kitonga could not be allowed to register that time. And I'm sure all of you here will know Archbishop Arthur Kitonga. Redeemed Gospel Church. It was I registered it as Redeemed Gospel Inc. Not a church, but a company limited by guarantee. It has grown in leaps and bounds. Because you see, all we needed to do is get those documents from the US, wherever, and put them through the registrar of companies. That ministry has grown. I remember those two because I was involved in their registration. They did not commit Shakahola. So the Shakahola story is a failure of the internal security system of this country. It is not the church. Before people got to the stage where they are dying, starving to death and whatever, they are chiefs, they are DOs, they are DCIs, Department of Criminal Investigation. You cannot therefore bring the whole church and subject it to the misrule that is Shakahola. Church, am I talking to you? So how many of you would agree with us that to object, sisi tuendelee na kupinga hii maneno ya regulation of the church? Because the freedom of worship is absolute. So allow the churches themselves to self-regulate. That they can do. They're actually able to do that. There are men and women who are senior, and they can get together, the bishops, the archbishops. And so that was my message. So the evangelical church in Kenya prayed into office men and women who are now acting against against the very mission and vision. Because the mission and vision is to save souls for Christ. While it tarries, our business is to spread the gospel. So how do you now hinder the spread of that gospel? So I therefore think, I see they have now withdrawn that notice. They have withdrawn it. Ati wanasema watakubali, watarudia hiyo maneno next year. Watarudia maneno ndio wafanye. By the way, even the Muslims are against this regulation. Everybody, because they can see this is not the way to run the country. So back to the story of the young people who are unemployed. First of all, I wanted to take this opportunity to register our strong objection to any attempt to regulate the church in this country. And for it to be very, very clear. And I said, if there are things that get overdone, it is a matter of security. The United States of America has blossomed over the years and never heard of regulation of the church or anywhere else. So I think the attempt in kutafuta vile, they also tax. If they see a young bishop looking smart, they say he has to pay taxes. So then we should not give up.